This episode of Super Legit brought to you by Australian advertising campaigns, the barbecue on the left, and running out of time to edit this long-ass episode down anymore because there was just too much wonderful sharing going on. Special episode of the Super Legit podcast. We're going to call this one Super Legit Origins Josh Spence.
Oh, okay.
But without the stitched together Ryan Reynolds mouth this time.
Oh, man.
So it's going to go way better, I think. Let's hope. Maybe not. Maybe by the end of the night we'll be stitching your mouth shut because you'll have talked way too much.
Oh, that will never happen. But we can do our best. For listeners listening to this, first of all, God bless you. Secondly, we're on this platform called Zencastr, so I can see Jett and I can see Steven. They unfortunately can see me. And the part that makes me insanely mad and jealous is underneath the masks that we have to wear in LA County. I haven't shaved, and I've kept a track of it for 4 months now. And the amount of facial hair that I've grown is like I look like an 11-year-old who just ate too much chocolate pie, and like that. And that was after 2 weeks, that was it. And then I went 3.5 months of just maxed out facial hair, and I'm looking at these two suave gentlemen with just full on bushy, grungy beards that I would kill for, but I
wow.
look like an obese 12-year-old.
Would that be beardicide? Like if you kill somebody for their beard?
Yeah.
That reminds me of barbicide, of course,
yes.
the stuff that you use to clean the implements. Yeah.
Imagine if that was like one of the 7 deadly sins from like, and it was in the film Seven. Like Morgan Freeman walks in. Don't come in here. He committed barbicide. And you just see like a guy just sprawled out on the floor with like a shaven face.
Also what you call a murder of a Barbie, correct?
Yes, barbicide. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when you go to Australia and you murder that grill right there. Yeah.
I was just thinking that.
That's actually what happens if you go, because I grew up in Texas. If you eat so much barbecue that you die, it's called committing barbicide.
There we go. Yeah.
I was just watching a documentary. Jett and Mike, we talk pretty luridly about food that we want to go try. And like anytime I'm cooking something, or Michael Hyman, shout out to Michael Hyman, he's not here tonight. If he's cooking something and he's like, hey, I'm working on this, I'm like, yo, send me them dirty pics. And it's like this perfect like ribeye that's been like cooking in butter.
No, when we say send me them nudes, we get photos of noodle dishes.
Yes.
And they look damn good.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
The things I would do to those noodles.
So the reason I brought that up, I was just watching MasterChef Barbecue on Netflix.
Oh, okay.
And like one of the first places was like Snow's Barbecue in Texas.
Yeah.
And they're like, because Steven's from Texas, I just imagine where he's from, just like on every corner is just like some like temple of barbecue where it's like perfectly smoked.
It's like Starbucks, right?
Yeah.
It's not like that, but
it's not like that.
In every town, there are at least 2 barbecue places, and whichever one you go to, half of the population there is going to be like, wait, you went to the one on the left? Oh, man, you got to go to the one on the right. And it's going to flip to the other half.
I mean, this sounds exactly like the churches in those.
I love that you dropped into that Texas accent, just real boom. Nice.
Happy to have you back, Stephen C. James, by the way. You've been out for a little bit.
It is good to be back.
And he just left.
Yeah.
He just left.
Yeah.
No, he's back.
Yes. And it's just the 3 of us this week. That's why it's a special episode. Other people have busy lives and shit to do. weddings to go to, classes to attend, all sorts of good excuses
Taking
to
finals,
plumbers to
being successful and filming things,
progressing through their lives. Oh my God. Meanwhile, the three of us are the committed ones who are just here for a podcast like we should be.
Oh, I'm in the middle of shooting a commercial for Miller Lite. It's a national. So I'm just on break right now. It's fine.
Yeah, yes. Anytime you need to step away to say your lines, if you need to run them against us, we're happy to help.
Yeah, it's so you say Miller Lite is good.
Miller Lite is good.
Sure. Did I nail it? Did I do it? Is that good? Did I do it? Okay.
I'm moved.
Okay.
I am buying a Miller Lite. Right. I'll be right back, guys. Just hold on for me.
I think that right there's the huge dichotomy between myself and Mr. St. James, because like right now he's just donating his time in between shoots for this national commercial, and I'm listening to this conversation, but part of me is thinking I'm so glad I live in California and not in Texas, because even though I'm a big guy in California, I would be a fucking monster in Texas, just eating barbecue for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like, good morning, you got any of them pigs?
Well, I'm not actually filming a national commercial right now. I am, however, going to Texas tomorrow.
Lied to us.
All the time. I mean, you notice how Josh just called me Saint Jean? That's not my last name.
Nope.
So I am going to Texas, however, tomorrow. And it is a good feeling, though, to go there, because in Texas, I'm in better shape than I am here. I've made no more effort, but in Texas, I'm in better shape. In Texas, I look good for my age. In Texas, my dollar goes farther, as though there was an exchange rate that happens on the plane. There's a lot of other things about Texas that I do not enjoy, but those three are nice.
Well, real quick though, like first of all, we're still good with me calling you St. James, because you're like awesome.
Speaking of Texas, cool. The guy who originally gave me that nickname accidentally.
Oh shit! Somebody did.
Oh yeah,
I'm not the first.
Oh no. Tom Booker. He now lives in Nashville, but I met him out here. He mistyped my name as Stephen St. James in a program. I was doing a play called Co-ed Prison Sluts. I was one of the.
I saw the sequel to that.
I think that was the name of it. I was one of the. Or no. That wasn't it. It was Uncle Walt's Women in Prison. And it was the idea that there was this woman who was like a Disney princess.
Dope.
Who wound up in a women's prison. And I was one of her fellow women prisoners with my full goatee and everything. So he just decided to cast me because he wanted me in the show. And the woman who played the Disney princess in the first run of it is Jen Smedley, who now is like hugely popular with I Mom So Hard, which is like a parenting thing. Where she's like, they've had a pilot on CBS and all this other stuff, but it was a super fun show. Tom Booker, accidentally gave me that nickname with a typo in the program. And then he lived in Austin for a number of years, where he wound up doing a lot of Austin theater and just recently moved to Nashville to be a Parsons partner.
I don't know what that is.
What is that?
He's partnered with a woman who's a parson. She's a pastor at a church. So he's
my gosh.
It's very literal.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Shame on us.
Yeah. I was thinking that was like some lofty, like a college title or something of partners, like a Rhodes Scholar, a Parsons partner.
And to also further honor my pal Tom Booker, I just dropped his name, which is what Tom Booker was famous for in Austin. They have their version of the improv game, Fred Schneider, is Hey Tom Booker, whose name are you dropping? Yeah.
Nice.
What? Mm-hmm. That's pretty rad.
Beautifully done.
My origins for calling you St. James is far different. It's this weird thing where like first we're on like an improv team together, and then we start like it sounds so salacious. We're on an improv team together, and then we start writing together, and then it's like, hey, I should probably know more about you so we can write better. And then all of a sudden we just start talking, and then we start becoming friends and like even talking about shit that isn't even related to writing. And then like, you become this really just awesome guy in my life and just helps me, like you become like a guiding light and when I have a question. And then you became St. James because you always have the right answer.
Is this starting to sound like Super Legit Origins Stephen St. James?
Maybe. I think my definition of Origins today is I don't think we necessarily have to hear the backstory of Josh Spence, because you get it in every episode
automatically
of Super Legit, be it episodes with me and my redneck dad. By the way, I did not realize I grew up as rednecky as I did. Thank you all for tolerating me. But I just love, I think it's going to be Old Man Yells at Cloud episode where we just talk about the origins of things in general.
I will say that Josh, it's been awesome because Josh is like, if Josh was a knight, he would be Josh the Generous. Like, he's just like this incredibly giving person. But Jett, there was a couple episodes back where I wasn't here for one. And at the end, you closed out with this incredibly touching moment talking about your kids, where I was just this is the best kind of comedy where it gets you in your feelings. So I feel like you're the one, like you're this mysterious host who's always sort of leading the way and guiding us into places. And I'm like curious about, your origin story.
Oh, geez.
So day one, you're a baby. Go from there.
Born at home in Van Nuys, California.
See, there we go. Already born at home.
Keep going. No, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
No, I'll take Josh the Generous. So much so, like, so much so that like there's this running joke, but it's not a running joke, because like we're trying to get I am trying to get St. James more and more into the guitar. So I'm like, yeah, that guitar you have that I gave you is like a beginner's guitar. You're probably gonna need like a better guitar. And like St. James knows how generous I am, so he's like, "Hey man, I know how generous you are. Don't buy me a guitar. I'm scared." And I'm like, "Hey, yeah. I won't buy you a guitar
yet
today."
Right.
But like we both know that this guitar giving moment's gonna happen. We're just kind of waiting.
We know Josh Spence. Absolutely.
For when it's going. But to be honest, it's for selfish sakes. Like he's thinking like he's getting a guitar. Honestly, I'm just getting a second guitarist for my band called Ugly Cry.
Like I picture you, Josh Spence, as an old man with, instead of the bowl full of Werther's originals, you have a bowl full of guitars.
Yes.
And you're just giving those out to anybody who visits. It's like, here, have a guitar.
Real fucking talk. And I'm glad it's just the three of us, even though our team will probably listen to it. And everybody who listens, shout out to all of our wonderful fans. I've already started saving up for Christmas. And honestly, like my goal for Christmas this year is to give everybody like a guitar starter pack and a thing of like Buffalo Trace whiskey. And just like, have at it, guys.
That's some good whiskey too.
Oh my gosh.
And I feel like that's a combo right there. Is guitar and whiskey. You're set.
And the guitar, and like it'll be a Christmas card and it just says, "You're a fucking rock star."
I can't wait for the Super Legit episode, which is just us all practicing our guitars,
which
on
is weird because
microphone.
Everybody's like, "Hey, did you get this weird text from Josh at 2 a.m. that says Les Paul or Strat?" I don't know what that meant, but I said Strat.
Yeah, first he said "you up," and we're like, "Oh no!" And then he said Les Paul or Strat. Yeah.
No, this is going to be more pictures of Emil. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. The only other kind of porn Josh sends us is guitars. Yeah, I'm not sure if you're on those threads, but Michael Hyman and I, we just randomly, he will send us like 2 to 3 photos of a guitar in a row, and we're just staring at the guitars, and then finally he'll send like a question mark, and we're like, "Oh, you want us to pick one?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I've gotten those too. I've gotten those too.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Okay, I've been on an incredibly like stupid run of like guitars this year, like when because I got a really good return, and then the California stimulus happened, and then I got some extra money from a settlement, so I'm like I'm getting a guitar, and then like I'd buy the guitar online through some online auction, and not only happened once, but it's happened on 3 separate occasions. Yo, I will double the price of your guitar. Just I gotta have it, and like
right.
I'm not going to turn down double the price of what I paid for a guitar.
Yeah. Guitar flipping. Absolutely.
I had no intention.
And not even the ZZ Top style.
Yeah. I had no intention of flipping guitars, but I have sold 12 guitars this year.
It's a lot of guitars.
That's a lot of fucking guitars. So I'll be like going through Reverb and like checking out like classic hollow bodies, semi hollows, metal, odd shaped ones, and yeah, I'll send like 3 of them. And I'm like, yo, which one would you guys pick?
And to me, it is something where I am honored to be included, but I feel like it's a doctor telling me like, I don't know, which of these veins should I snip in this patient? And I'm like, I don't want this responsibility because I could be wrong. I don't know, the bulgy one. I'm not sure. The one that goes all swoopity woo around the neck. Like, I don't know.
Super.
Hey, babe. Can I get your advice on something real quick? I just.
Of course, sweetheart.
I'm trying to make
Hold on
a
second.
tough decision here.
Let me put down my phone so that way I can give you my full undivided attention.
Thank you. Okay. Well, let me show you my phone because I've just got the photos on here.
Okay.
But, all right. You know my big trip to Mars is coming up.
Yeah, of course. I mean, everyone knows.
All right. Have I been talking that much about
Sweetheart,
it?
I
didn't want to make a big thing.
And you're going to be one of the first people on the planet Mars. Of course I know. That's a really weird lead-in. Like, do I feel that distant? I know I was looking at my phone, but I'm aware that you're going to Mars.
Okay. All right.
I was on my phone reading an article about how you're going to Mars.
Oh my God. Really? Am I in the headline?
Yes, you're in the headline.
Sorry.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
Of
Okay.
course.
I don't want to make about external things. I'm trying to make you a part of this here, make you feel like you're involved in it, because I know it's kind of I'm going to be really literally distant for who knows how long, possibly eternity.
Yeah.
I want to make you feel like you're a part of this. They're having us pick out the jet engines that are going to, were the rocket engines that are going to get us up into the stratosphere. I just wanted your thoughts on it. All right.
Well, I will say
one or two. One or two. Here,
okay,
let me show you one first. Two.
Hold on. Harv. So Harv, here's the thing, sweetheart. I do not feel like I should be doing this. I get panic attacks at the optometrist. Like every time they're switching between those two lenses, I totally think I'm probably wrong and I'm going to be blind for a year until I go back. Harv, please don't make me pick this jet engine.
No,
because if something happens, I'm going to blame myself. The headline said, man who's probably going to die going to Mars is going to Mars. So now if something happens, I'm going to feel like this is my fault in some way.
So they didn't put my name in the headline.
No, Harvey Mann. They put your name in the headline. It was spelled with 2 N's.
Okay.
Like your name.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. All right. Got it. Yes. Okay. All right. Okay. That makes me feel better. At least I'm going to live on no matter what. In one form or another, I'm going to be immortal in a sense. So I'm good with that. I wanted you. Okay. All right. You know what? You don't have to be a part of it, but just don't you want to be? What if we pick the wrong one? What if we pick the one you didn't like?
Now, listen, Marv. I know that you won the government contract from Northrop Grumman.
I'm sorry. Can I jump in here real quick? I want to make sure this right. It's Harv.
I said Harv.
Okay.
I said Harv.
You know what? I don't want to argue.
Forgive me. I'm from a non-distinct Eastern European country. My accent may have slipped a little. Did I say Harv or Marv?
Sweetheart, okay. I'm sorry to jump in here, but hun, do you know how you wanted to be more involved?
I did so much.
I'm going to step in here. Okay. I may not be able to pick out a jet engine, but this guy's trying to do a power play on you. Dude, you're being a dick. You called him Marv. Okay? It's not Marv. It's Harv Mann. Dr. Harvey Mann. His friends call him Harv. So you know what? You can call him Harvey. Thank you.
Thank you so much, dear.
I love you.
Thank you.
If I've insulted you, Harvey Mann, I apologize. The reason
there's that accent really coming out now. Thank you. We get it now. All right, good.
Okay,
it's all
great.
coming together.
I'm just trying to show.
It makes sense.
I'm just trying to show off.
Okay.
I know you won the government contract from Northrop Grumman, but you have to understand.
Could you dial the accent back down a little bit? Because I'm not
say,
fully understanding you anymore.
Leaning into it now.
It's really coming up too far.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Four.
Four's good. Yes,
four. We're feeling 4.
Right, honey? Honey, do you want 4 or 5?
No, 4. You're good with 4.
Okay, good. We're good at 4.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have made that decision all on my own. I want you involved in this as we discussed.
Here's what I'm trying to say. I'm from a non-distinct Eastern European country whose accent is currently out of 4. You took the jet engine that I've always wanted, okay? You won the contract, you're the better man, but I'm willing to pay double for that jet engine, okay?
Oh.
I'll pay double.
Wow.
Okay? It's not a I just want to put it out between us. It's not a matter of like beating the Americans, okay? That was like generations ago, okay? It's about playing and writing the thing that you love. And that jet engine, I've dreamed about it since I was a kid.
Wow. That's compelling. Honestly, I never dreamed
Double.
about a specific jet engine. I honestly, I didn't really. It was a toss up for me. In fact, since my dear Kimberly wouldn't make the decision for me, I literally flipped a coin to pick this one. So, Kim, what do you think? Should we sell it for double?
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, what really matters is function. Would you be able to get another engine that does the same thing?
I assume
because
so.
I would say, you know what? This seems like such a good deal. I think the only answer we could possibly give is no, fuck off. That's what you get for calling him Marv. We're out. Take your money and stick it up your butt.
Boom. There we go.
Dr. Harv Mann and I will be leaving now. Enjoy going back over or under the wall. I'm not sure which side of it you're from since your accent's rather indistinct.
Is the wall still up? I don't know.
There's no wall, okay?
There's no wall anymore?
There's no
Aren't there remnants?
They're on eBay. You can buy them.
I feel like there could be bits and pieces there, absolutely, right?
There's probably still a line. A monument?
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to correct you.
It doesn't matter. I'm American and uninformed. Tee.
I love you.
Legit. So I'm at an age now where I feel like playing with guitars or playing with like your playlists on your music library is kind of like what it was when we were kids and like Grandpa went to go play with his train set in the fucking basement.
Yeah.
Oh, there goes Josh working on his Foo Fighters playlist, and I'm internally having this debate of like, yeah, I know I'm hitting all the hits, but am I really covering what I like, which is the early '90s with like noise feedback stuff? Am I being true to myself? It's a fucking playlist that no one else is gonna hear.
Maybe instead of Josh Spence Origins, this is like us taking a glimpse into the future Josh, who like when kids hit baseballs over his fence, like they wind up with a fender tossed back over. It's just like, quit playing baseball and pick up a 6-string.
I mean, this is the guy, this is the guy this week who I went in our group chat to ask about incense. And he's like, no, candles. You got to go with candles. And he's giving me all these reasons why I need a candle in my bedroom instead of incense. And I'm like, by the end of it, I bought myself a candle. Like, I was going into this sure I was getting some incense. And you too, Stephen C. James.
Well, I will say this. I am shocked that Josh didn't just Jeff Bezos a candle over to your house. Like, that's the scandal to me.
I think payday is until next week, and that's probably the only reason.
I'm surprised you didn't get a scented candle flight. You're like, lavender, vanilla, and sandalwood.
A guitar-shaped candle is what I'm going to get next.
God.
Yeah.
I'm so, like, okay, so to kind of play off the future Josh thing, have you guys, unfortunately, ever been in an accident or like to a very exponentially smaller degree, maybe like broke a plate or stubbed your toe, but you saw like the thing happen in slow-mo and you knew it was going to happen and then it happened fucking anyways?
Yeah.
Yep.
I have that every like Monday and Thursday when I listen to the WTF podcast with Mark Maron. And I just listened to his like first 20 minutes of monologue, and I'm like, I think that's where I'm headed. Like, I'm not trying to be Mark Maron. Like, no offense to Mark Maron, I don't want to be Mark Maron.
You were trying a couple episodes ago, but yes,
I did a wonderful impression of Mark Maron.
You did,
hopefully,
yes.
But like, I'm like, okay,
no, we get to say it's wonderful. You don't, but we did say it was wonderful. Yeah,
solid. So yeah, I assume you mean the sort of like thing where you're just like kind of cranky. Just the kind of cranky thing where you're complaining, right? To unpack that a little bit, just in case we have folks that aren't listening to the first. Because like I know a lot of people, I still religiously listen to that first 20 minutes. I know a lot of people who are just like, skip to the interview.
Fucking man.
Yeah.
No, it's 20 minutes of the best.
Yeah.
No. Well, all right, let me throw this at you guys then, and let me ask you this, and then you'll tell me how it works. So at work, I'm in a very like interesting position because like most of the new hires are like young whippersnappers, like in their early 20s.
There we
like
go. There's the words.
I did that on purpose. Anywhere between like 21 and 25. And then there's like seems to be like a 7-year gap where there's like 6 or 7 dudes my age. And then you jump forward and there's like the Chevy lifers. And here's how it goes. So with the 20-year-olds, they'll talk to me and they'll like expect me to know all their current shit. They're like, oh yeah, he's cool for an old guy. Right?
Oh,
like
right.
They'll talk to me about all the shit and they'll come to asking me for advice. like Josh, you know things. What did you do when this happened? And it's like shit I never went through, so I just make it up, which is fun for me. And then like the dudes that are my age, they like I'm the smartest one, which says whatever, but like I'm the smartest one of my age group there. So everybody comes to me for advice, or like I'm like Joshopedia. They're like, yeah, Josh. So who won like the '95 World Series again? I'm like, dude, clearly it's the Atlanta Braves. They won 4-2. Like, pay attention. The Cleveland Indians were shit that year. What planet are you from? Like, I become Wikipedia. And then for like the people that are like the like lifers there that are like 60 or 70, they're like, I like you. You're going to fit in well here. Let me teach you everything I did because you're next in line. And I'm like, no.
Yeah, I started a new job recently, moving from a very, very small, what we call a managed service provider, basically an outsourced IT company is what those are.
I loved your first. You go with the first one from now on.
Yeah, no, MSP is the terminology we use, but yeah, to a much larger one where we've got like a dozen network engineers. That's our title. And it was super weird transitioning over because I came from a job where again, it was a small company. It was just 2 people in it. And so I didn't have perspective on where my skills sat because I just had us. I just had our specific clients and our specific clients' needs.
Sure.
So I knew our clients really well and I knew the things they needed, but I didn't have a bigger picture of myself. So finally, like taking the real power move of stepping away from the company and moving on to something that, yes,
God,
paid
so
better,
scary.
but also, it's terrifying, especially because I didn't really like. I had a lot of confidence in my skills, but again, I didn't know where they sat in the bigger world, and so that was scary alone. And I got into this company, and it's a bunch of really skilled, smart, kind people who are really supportive, and the teamwork is great. But what was super crazy for me was like even week 1, I had pre-established members of the team message me to ask me for advice on things.
Nice. Wow.
And I had one person reach out and say, you're clearly really smart. I know you're going to know the answer to this problem. And like he said, he's winding me up in my head is like, there's no way. Like now he's going to ask it, and I'm going to be completely stumped, and I'm going to make an ass out of this opportunity. And he asked me, and I helped him, and we solved the problem. And it's like, see, I knew you were going to be the guy. I knew you could do this. Maybe this guy was like on his first week, like purposefully setting me up to make me feel good, which major points to him if he did that on purpose. But either way, it's like that made me feel good. And since then, like I've had people come to me on other things, and like I have solutions for things. And again, there's plenty of people senior to me who are the people who are training me and getting me up to speed on their stuff. So it's not like I'm the guy by any means, but I am a guy.
But you are the dude.
It's really cool to actually recognize, I bring something to the table. I know some things. I know things other members of this team don't know. So I'm not merely the guy absorbing their knowledge. I'm also providing my own. And it's a really nice place to be in, to actually be able to recognize my value.
Well,
but here's the scary part to that. Oh, go ahead.
No. Well, I'm about to start massaging Jett's shoulders a little bit here, because Jett, I think it's just important, period, that you know your value. Because I remember all of us, like on that thread, were trying to choose between those 2 gigs, and you were like, I don't know, am I? And we were all just like, painting JETT on our chests and like busting out the pom-poms
Yes.
and being like, you got this, man, you got this. Like doing everything except for crushing beer cans on our foreheads to be like, who can manage service provide? You can manage service provide.
But I think here's the weird thing about being in dudes of our age. Like it's kind of like the fear factor of it, right? Because you're scared about the new job, and it's like you fast forward into the future, and like there's like the big ending, right? The bitter end. Like we all know, death comes for us all. You don't want to think about it, but it's there.
I mean, I assume, but I'm not convinced yet.
It's gonna be there, right? Like that's a scary thing.
I've been doing my own research. I think it's a hoax.
Okay. Well, the
have you
science
heard
is
about
there,
these
guys.
essential oils? I've been investing. We're going to see where these go.
But like, so hypothetically,
should the concept of death exist? Continue.
That's the big future scary, and it's like it's funny because I remember. And hopefully you'll allow me space to talk about this a little bit down the road. I've been doing a lot of reflecting in a good way, not like Elliott Smith, needle in the hay type of reflecting, but like thinking about like to my 20s and like the things I was like really scared about of like, oh my God, am I gonna have this amount of money to like blow on stupid shit, or like, can I ask this girl out? Oh my God, will she like me? Where now, like, my biggest fear, or one of my fears, is like, oh, do I make a career out of this job? Like, I can make a career out of this. Is this where I want to settle in? And then it's like you start looking at the people around you, or it's almost like, are you going to stay here for the next 20 years? Are you going to, or do we have to work together, or should we exchange phone numbers? Are we gonna just in case of emergency? Oh my God, I do sound like fucking Marin.
Yeah.
But it's like, you look at the people around you. It's like, oh, you're gonna be here too. Okay, no, okay, well, you're gonna start a pot farm in Oregon. Okay, no, it's not me. Okay, sure. No, I'm a writer. No, I write things. Oh no, you're a lifer here at Chevy, and oh okay, yeah, we make the same amount. Cool. Like you start like these like real life strictures. Like do I need to own a home? Like how important is all of these actual things are beginning to like adult stuff. You're like, oh shit, I'm really an adult.
I can speak to you on this because I have been in the unfortunate circumstance of being an old man at the age of 23. Because I started.
Cheers to that, my guy.
I started my job in 1999, and I'm a middle school teacher. So I'm in a room with a bunch of people who are 10 years younger than me. So I'm the adult in the room, no matter what. Yeah. Right. And so
literally,
slowly but surely, I was the youngest person on my campus for the first 4 years I was there. But it was still like, people were like, hey, is this something that you're going to continue doing? And there were various points where I was like, do I want to go off and be a principal, blah, blah, blah. And then I've come to realize that like, no, my job is this sweet spot where I can do that to fulfill, it does have emotional value to me, but it is like a financial thing where it's like, I'm being paid to do that. And then it's a good enough job to where it leaves space for my creativity, my art, and my family. Like it's like I can't imagine a better job for believing that like, hey, listen, everything we do here is important. We're like educating the future of children, but also you have your own lives at home and we're going to honor you and leave space for that. So it's that thing where it's like, yeah, you got these big adult things to consider, but you've done the work. And like, as long as you can still be happy in that job, you're going to be fine. The thing I used to say before I had this job was any job I had, I was happy until I realized, oh, they could train a monkey to do this job. Like when I was working at Little Caesars, it took like no time at all before I was like, oh, a monkey could put the dough in the machine, turn it, and then put the dough in the machine the other way. It's done. When I was working at the airplane parts warehouse, it was like a summer. And then I was like, oh, no, they could just show the monkey the little tag. The monkey can go to the bin that matches that tag. He starts hooting and hollering. He puts the part in the cart, and then he's good. Great. And then when I was waiting tables, that took a while. But eventually I was like, no, somebody points at the order. The monkey goes over, points at the order of the person in the kitchen. They tell, like, it's going to take a while to train that monkey to not eat the food, but then he's fine, you know? And then, like, teaching and improv, you know, teaching, it's like, well, they can't get a monkey to do this. And as far as improv goes, I mean, that's me being the monkey. That's like the monkey looking at me being like, they trained you to do this? They trained you to just be completely in the moment and just play around on stage? All right, human, whatever.
Super. Your first time shoveling shit?
Yeah, I'm excited. It's a new position. It's a new opportunity. I think it's a starting point to thrive. And I actually am looking forward to changing the culture of shit cleaners in this area.
Changing the culture. I love it. That spunk's gonna get you. It's not gonna get you far, but hopefully it carries you through long enough.
Well, I think spunk actually goes a long way. Actually, I majored in spunk.
There's a lot of spunk in this shit too. There's all sorts of things in the shit. You wouldn't believe what stuff's in the shit.
I see what you're doing. You're talking about how there's semen in the fecal matter. That's fine. I'll gladly pick it up. It's my first day. I get it. Rooks get the dirty work. Although, I mean, what's dirtier than shit detail? But I'm glad they paired us up. It's kind of like you're like Danny Glover from Lethal Weapon. Like, you're too old for this shit. And I'm looking forward to this.
You're never too old for this shit. I'm old and I'm still doing this shit. And
really?
You know what? It's like the first day all over again. I love it. I've been here 37 years. I wouldn't have it any other way.
No, I mean, come on, 37 years. I mean, who wants to shovel shit for 37 years? I mean, this is a good
I just told you this guy right here wants to shovel shit for 37 years and more, because I'm not going anywhere, and I want to be real clear here real quick. You're not taking my job.
Oh, no. I'm kind of hoping I'm not, if we're being honest. I actually, again, about culture, I wanted to be the guy who took the toughest job and would use that as a springboard into other avenues.
Oh, so you're too good for my job now. You're too good to take my job.
No. That's not what I'm saying. I was actually kind of hoping to learn from you and learn your ways and kind of.
Oh, so you want me to train you on everything it will take for you to take my job from me and then use it as a springboard to become something better than shoveling shit because you're so much better than me. Is that it?
Wow. Well, I mean,
I'm just busting your balls.
Oh.
Just hazing you on your first day.
Okay. That scared me.
Welcome to Inside the Shit Shoveler Studio. I'm here with Grizzles Grayson, 37-year veteran of the shit shoveling game. Grayson, what keeps you shoveling up every morning?
I mean, it's the endless piles of shit. I wake up in the morning, I can smell it deep into my lungs. I go out there and all I see everywhere is shit. And I look at that shit and I go, someone's gotta shovel it. And gosh darn it, it gets to be me.
Grayson, you've done a little bit of everything, all the way from composting to amusement park cleanup, all the way through to the great rotten tuna scandal of 98, which some say is your finest hour. I honestly would say, just to be a little bit of a fanboy here, in 2012, when that bad batch of Top Ramen wound up in the Famimas, and you stepped up to the plate, I think that is possibly your finest hour. But what would you say brings you the most joy?
I mean, I gotta say, it's the festivals. I love the festivals. You get to see all these incredibly happy people, especially, they get these food trucks. It's all this stuff that no one's ever eaten before. And their systems, they're they're not prepared for it. It's all these cultures that they're not their delicate digestive systems are just not ready for it, and it's just they just go everywhere.
Plus,
there's not enough porta potties.
The sanitation on a truck is not known to be the best in the best of circles.
Dad, this is a festival. I just want you to sit back and relax. I don't want you to feel like you have to clean everything. Okay, you are a concert attendee, Dad. Just
a shit shoveler is never off duty, son.
Oh my gosh.
That wasn't a shit joke when I said duty.
I know.
But it still could work as one, so if you want to make it one, you can go for it.
Okay, but I mean, I'm just saying this is the Coachella Festival, okay? We go out, we have fun, okay? We spend $20 on a bottle of water.
Okay, but there's a lot of ayahuasca being done here, and ayahuasca goes straight through your system.
Okay.
Take it from me, I've been to Costa Rica, I know.
I'm happy to pay for your ayahuasca. Like, I was kind of hoping we would do one of those like spiritual journeys together, but we can't do that.
The shovel and the silver shovel, little boy shit and the man and the shovel.
Clean shit if I'm high.
Where you gonna shit, son? I don't know when. We will shovel then, man. You know we're gonna shovel then.
This is what I came here for. Oh, love this band.
What song? I don't hear anything, Dad. Are you okay?
Oh, shit. Did you slip me some ayahuasca?
Legit. No, I'm hoping to, Dad. Come on.
Now it's my turn to get us busted by ASCAP.
Yes.
But whatever we have to pay for our failed lawsuit, we can make up for in sponsorships, right?
Yes,
Did I do transition?
That's
you did. And it's Michael's Hyman. This is his third episode.
Michael's Hyman, sure.
Yes, yeah.
I think that got
but he once again set us up with an ad. It's just he's not here to read it this time. So, Stephen C. James, I think you stepped up to the plate for this one.
I went ahead and I had the guy email me the MP3 file this time, so no tape. Apparently, Hyman's been telling them to send in tapes. And I was just like, you can send me a digital file.
That was on him.
Yeah, that's on Hyman.
Oh, my God.
That's on Hyman.
We've been having that fight since forever. Like,
oh, yeah.
We'll play that in a second. I've been trying to play, we've been talking about this musical library thing because it's been in my mind lately. And every single time I bring up, like, the lost files I've had, he's like, you should have had a hard copy. Should have had a hard copy. I still buy CDs to this day. Nothing like a hard copy.
But CDs, not tapes. So what's with the tapes?
He's an asshole.
Is he just using the colloquial term send me a tape of it?
Michael,
he's not thinking about it?
I hope he's hearing this. Michael Hyman's an asshole. Run the ad.
Hi.
I love you, Mike. I'm sorry.
Well, let me click back to the beginning of the file now.
All right.
Sure.
Hi. No one's life is free of accidents. Everybody's had a polite little smash up on the freeway, or some sort of grim fender bender that you have no way out of. You gotta do something to get yourself back on the road. Well, that's why we say, come on down to Gamma Ray's Junkyard. Gamma Ray, we've got space for your stuff. If you've got parts that you don't know where they came from, just load them on down to Gamma Ray's Junkyard. I'll find a use for them. Because don't worry, even if you think those parts are unrecyclable, I can use them again. I'm building something. I've got a good thing going here. Gamma Ray's gonna make this happen. So come on down to Gamma Ray's Junkyard. Sure, you think that there might be undetectable levels of radiation coming out of that old microwave? Bring it on down to me. I could use undetectable radiation. Those billionaires think they've got it locked down? Well, they don't. Because at Gamma Ray's Junkyard, I'm building something big. And I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get to space. Yeah, they think you can't build a warp drive out of old parts from a Chevy and somebody's old Lincoln log set, and then one of those monitors that people gave up because they were leaking out some sort of weird glass because toasters got frozen on them. But at Gamma Ray's Junkyard, I can make use for all of it. Gamma Ray's Junkyard, we've got space for your stuff. I'm going to the moon, and I've got you to thank for it. Gamma Ray's Junkyard. Wow. Yeah, his internet presence is huge, by the way.
I'm really glad we're part of Gamma Ray's relaunch campaign because if you remember, Gamma had Jemima looked at her for a while. So I'm glad that Gamma is becoming like grandma. And,
I don't know what that means, but like the term sandbagger, it just sort of made the hair on the back of my neck prickle. I don't know. I don't know what that means. Do you mean he got severely burned after his last launch? Or did he really like pancake syrup?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really, really liked pancake syrup.
Okay. There we go. I was curious about that.
That's what I meant.
Well, most of his Instagram
Did you
is just like pictures of these things that like put the Watts Towers to shame. It's crazy what he's building out there.
I have a legitimate question for you, St. James, if you don't mind. Can I ask you a real question?
Yeah.
This isn't a bit.
Okay. Yeah.
Finally, a real one.
Okay, and then we'll go back to bits in a minute. So I was reading the news, I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago, and they've changed Aunt Jemima's marketing.
Yes.
Now it went from Aunt Jemima to Old Mill.
Yes.
They went to the original label, right? So okay, good. So we all know this. And it's Old Mill, and it's an Old Mill thing.
Oh, Pearl Mill.
Was
Pearl Mill Company.
I mean, yeah. I feel bad making it like you're
just
the
ask the question.
Like, is that the right move? Like, you went to like a person and to a very horrible person to a fucking mill. Like, I think there were some steps moved that were wrong.
Well, don't worry, because it still winds up topical because we got the same thing going on with the Cleveland Guardians, right?
Oh, right.
Yes, let's talk about that too, please.
So, short answer, a person should not be your mascot. Especially a person who is of a marginalized group, where it's just like you're taking someone from that group and patting them on the head and being like, "Oh, you're a little sports hero."
That's the fucking worst. Yeah.
And so it's the same thing with the Aunt Jemima and the Uncle Ben and all of that stuff. And then I will also say, as a black man in America, it's the same thing that Indian Americans or Indian people in America had with Apu, where it is that is one of the few images of someone who looks like you put forth into the mainstream culture. And so it becomes something where as a kid, people will make those links to you. Whereas if you were, if it's something where it's like, hey, that cis white male on the playground, why don't you call him something that you saw on TV to insult him? I mean, it's a pretty, you got a lot to choose from before you can find something that's going to be insulting, right? We should call him like that character in that movie. Yeah. Hey, Tony Stark, get over here. It's like, it's not really going to necessarily be an insult. But when you have like the few representations of someone that looks like you as somebody who is, a mascot or a stereotypical imagery of yourself or something that's pulled out of the past, as opposed to who you represent in the world then, that's the thing that makes it, dismaying.
Yeah, the Apu thing, I think of, because I know it was heavy backlash to the idea of changing Apu or removing Apu because he's a beloved character, but I also think people don't understand what they love about the character or who the character is or what he represents, and most people don't get that, because I remember growing up with Apu as a character. I loved Apu, and Apu had me convinced that I could do an Indian accent as a kid. It's like I could do an impression of an Indian accent because I was doing Apu, because that was the representation that was readily available to me as a kid, and I had no comprehension of that being racist. The character had all these traits, the fact that he had a dozen kids and all these different elements of it, and it's all funny and we're all laughing at it and it all seems harmless because we're not the ones who are being portrayed as that and as only that to the majority of viewers.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of like things you used to be and things you were, it's funny going through this again. I'm circling back to the library thing, but it's also a bigger picture. So I'm coming to the library and like there's selections of music I have in there that like, oh yeah, I was really into Kid Rock and Korn and Limp Bizkit when that happened. There's also a documentary on HBO Max about Woodstock 99. I recommend you guys 100% check out. And it's a great thing because they're talking about like how that festival was like a shit show and how it went down, but it's also a deeper dive,
just like the original Woodstock.
Yeah, well, sure, but it's also a deeper dive into like what's wrong with like angry white teenager males, you know, like, and I remember being like, and I'm glad I've changed, and I'm glad there's, you have hindsight to look at this, but I remember being so into Limp Bizkit and Korn and just break stuff and angry and like had this this entitlement, and I went to like Jett, you know this, I went to like Hart High School in Santa Clarita, which is like, and I hate saying it, man, but it's true. Like the only time I would see like any black people at the school is when we're at football practice together, like there's something incredibly wrong with that. I'm aware of that now. And they made an interesting point in that documentary too about how like it's funny because I would consider myself like a bleeding heart liberal and like I'm a Democrat and all of that. But even then, during that time, like Bill Clinton was like fucking throwing Monica Lewinsky under the bus, hardcore. There's still like this level of misogyny that I think we're really beginning to like uncork and reckon with and deal with, and it's really
it's a great irony.
It's a trip reckoning with that.
Yeah, because I can't I can't speak to the white male experience. Though JK, I grew up in America. I can. It's all I got fed while I was watching TV. But I can't personally speak.
I didn't mean to laugh so hard, but that was funny.
I can't personally speak to the white male experience. But I can say there's something about being a teenage boy in America that is the great irony that when a slight breeze will give you a hard on, you basically spend your entire day completely impotent.
Yeah.
Like you have no power over anything at all in the outside world, 100%. Except you're just filled with this quaking rage and frustration. And I think it's something where we need to make sure that this next generation of boys and all future generations of boys, we encourage to talk about their feelings and talk things out. Somebody was talking to me the other day and like saying that they were so glad that my son had a lot of confidence. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I think the world's all full up on boys with a lot of confidence. Where it's like, let's train our boys to be like, hold up a tick. Let me think for a second before I say that, which is one of the things that makes me, by the way, Jett, speaking of awesome kids, so impressed with your comment.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, your name
I was just thinking.
Sorry.
Yeah, I was just thinking about how vital it is that we pay more attention to mental health of our youth.
God, yes.
And because for exactly what you're saying, I don't want to go, oh, can we think of the poor angry white teenage boys? But can we think of teenagers in general? Because, when we have a country where the majority, at least currently, is, white, and the male experience is the default, and it's full of all of this toxic masculinity that we deal with, that, we usually, when we talk about toxic masculinity, it's from the perspective of the effect it has on the people outside of it. But toxic masculinity is toxic to the people inside of it. And so there's the combination of course, being a teenager is already rough because there's this massive hormonal rewrite of your brain and your body going on over the course of several years that throws you completely out of whack. And then on top of that, you have to reconcile with all these societal expectations of who you are. And this is not unique to white people, white teenage boys at all. It's happening to everyone, but everyone is having their own unique, different types of battles with it. And, I can't fathom everything that goes into, for instance, the Black experience there, where especially, for instance, you're confronting your own fucking mortality when addressing, say, just the fact that people are terrified of a person who looks potentially remotely harmful to them by their incredibly ridiculous judgmental standards. So when you have, the fact that people have to grow up with knowing that their teenage sons get into a car and the Black ones have to be terrified of being pulled over and seen to be aggressive when from the same behavior as someone else, that's its own incredibly horrifying thing. But I think everybody, the teenage experience, and especially for boys, both with the combination testosterone and the toxic masculine standards that they have to deal with, is not taken seriously enough, not addressed properly, and the mental health standards are terrible. I mean, mental health standards in this country are terrible for everyone, but that's an especially scary time. It's an especially vulnerable time because it's when everybody's finding themselves and figuring themselves out, and they've got YouTube or they've got friends or they've got all these different influences. And so you get people who just want anything. They desperately want something to belong to, something to tell them how the world works. And if it's the wrong person at the wrong time, they end up shooting up a school. Or a festival, or who knows what. And I'm not trying to suggest that anybody can be that person. But it's certainly, I also suspect a lot of those people who became that person didn't have to be.
Yes, and to 100%, all of that, both of you guys. Allow me to second to shower some love on both of you guys, man. Like, I know both of you guys are fathers. I've seen both your kids. I love both of your kids. They're awesome. It's funny, like I've seen Connor grow. You know, I remember like he's so tall, like you can see that.
He's almost taller than his sister now.
Or even just like with Merge, just in the short time I've gotten to know him, like seeing his taste change and what he likes more and more. I hope I get to be more of a part of that because that makes me feel good.
Thanks to Josh, he saw Space Jam last weekend.
Oh wow!
Yes, I will tell you this though. Both of you guys are excellent fathers, and while I'm not having a kid anytime soon, I'm definitely taking notes, and I'll also say that to Chris Sanders, who's doing an awesome job. I'm taking notes from you guys and paying attention to what you guys are doing and how you're doing it, because you know, if we're doing all this and, you know, real talk, I've had enough shots to do more real talk. You know, my dad did the best he could. I spent a lot of time resenting him and being angry. You know, why didn't you do this or why didn't you do that? But like he was also unfortunately a product of his environment where he was very much, you know, Ted Nugent, Leonard Skinnerd, Camaro Z28. You get your aggression out by fucking sticking a man on the field and shooting your fucking gun. So like, you know, I was a child of divorce, so it's not like he really got to see me that often growing up. So he gets this fresh teenager who he doesn't quite understand, who I also did not understand myself. And he's like, oh, how are we going to fix this? What's the Ted Nugent of his time? Oh, it's Limp Bizkit. Yo, listen to this. Go play football. Get after it, you know? And I think that's such that's an interesting thing because, like, I'll still listen to Limp Bizkit and Korn, and like they got some tracks that I'm still into, right? That I think sound interesting, but I'll listen to the lyrics, and it's funny because like they're talking about this like super aggro persona, and I think Steven mentioned it, and like the super aggro persona, and I was not that guy in high school. I was afraid to talk to girls, you know, and they were just like, get that girl and do blah, blah. And it's like, that was not me, but I wanted to be that so badly, you know, but you know, you learn it differently. And I love what you guys as fathers now are doing about like, hey, use your mouth to communicate what you feel and what you're thinking. And, you know, Jett and I will have these talks where Connor sometimes goes down the wrong path of logic to get what he wants. But Jett, I love the fact that you will absolutely, like, you know, he's wrong, but you will indulge him down the whole avenue of your wrongville, your wrong street, and you'll let him like bounce into every fucking car to realize that, like, okay, you've ran into every car. Are we done yet? Like, you've realized that you're wrong. And then at the end, Connor's like, okay, I fucked up. And it's like, great, let's move on, you know? And like, I don't know, as it's almost like you guys are just like preloading the kids with like the right ideas and the right thoughts and just kind of like what I wasn't raised with, you know? And in one part that makes me insanely jealous because I kind of wish I had a father like both you guys. But in the other aspect, it makes me feel, it gives me hope for the future, because there's a lot of bad shit, and you kind of I look at my own generation, like in some cases, like, oh, we should be leading now, but them boomers won't fucking let go of the control switch. But it gives me hope for the future for sure, because I feel that there's better coming up.
Well, let me say this, Josh. You do have two dads like us. I mean, we are right here for you. Like, we're not going to be your dad as in like, hey, do you want to borrow the car? But, like, we are your friends and we care about you. And, if you're having that moment where it's just like,
you're our Stacey Keenan.
I don't know that reference.
My two dads.
Okay.
I got it. You're good. I got it.
Now I got it. That was sharp. It's very sharp.
Thank you.
But I also say, I think like a lot of my friends, and I can't speak for Jett, but I know that I feel like I am parenting in opposition to my dad. Like, it's like my parenting.
Yeah,
it's
dude.
just like, let me flip that script. And so I think that, like, all of our parents, like, by default, did the best that they could at the time, even if it was terrible.
100%.
Even if it was terrible.
It took me a while to get there, but yeah.
And it's one of the hardest things that you can do. Like, what you have to do is get to be the age that your parents were, and then you're like, wait, when they were where I am now, they had, okay, that thing where they yelled and hit and punched, it's not okay, but I see it now.
I see how I got there, or I see what that. Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard to look back at the things that you hated and end up doing some of them and understanding why they occurred, or even getting close. And it's a really hard time. Yeah, absolutely. The age things, on both sides, because it's recognizing when I reach an age milestone that I witnessed in my mother, or recognizing an age milestone that my son is at that I was at, and
that's
comparing
so crazy.
those two. It's really, because my son's 13 now, and like that's an age where everything starts really happening. And I have so much more perspective on exactly where my life was from that age forward. And it's weird. It's really weird. And it's also, there's so much level of protection I try to put in place that I then have to look back at what I was doing at that age and what kind of freedoms I did or didn't have, and try to compare against, okay, and where did I end up? What did I do with that? Was it really so bad to be as wide open as I was, for instance? But also comparing the fact that the world's different. And so, for instance, I was, at this age, I was on the internet. I was, the internet was just barely a thing, but I was on the internet on my own, on a computer that didn't have any protections in place and any safety protocols and everything. And I did fine. But that's not necessarily the same thing as the internet that he's growing up in.
It's a whole different thing. It's weird to say this, but like when I was first on the internet, the worst thing that you could find was pornography.
Yeah.
Whereas now the worst thing that you can find is a commentary about how you're a terrible person written by all of the people that you know at school.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's like, it's so weird how personally devastating it could be.
We're in an age where Pornhub literally has a better sex education section on their site than any of the schools.
It does.
Provide.
I clicked on it. They
have a whole sex ed course that because they said they recognize that schools are failing here, and they know that people go to their website, so they might as well do a better job of it, and they do. Like, so literally porn is the least of my concerns for him by a massive margin.
How crazy is that?
I don't mean to be a prude, but am I about to be the first guy who goes to Pornhub just to read what they say about sex ed?
Yeah.
Possibly not because of them doing
that's
this.
True.
Yes.
That's true. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Huh. But yeah, that's kind of the thing is there's so much more I can't even comprehend that he's access to, and I worry about it. But on the other hand, I also watch what he does with the internet on a regular basis, and he's fine.
Yeah.
because there's a bunch of stuff like this. There's shows he'll watch, and I'll see some of them, and it's like this is dumb, but it's not my place to judge what's dumb because I can't imagine what dumb things I was watching as a kid. And then randomly, the TV is on, and it's something going through these complex theories of like movie theories and like this deep analysis of the film, and it's like you're watching film analysis, and then like he'll tell me these facts he learned about science and stuff because he just randomly watches things about how things are done and how things work. And, on the one hand, I could be really particular about, I wish you were reading science books instead. But also, I know he's got ADHD. I know he's not going to read those books on his own. So whatever he can get, and he gets this cool stuff, and he finds things, and he's got these connections with friends of his, and I hear conversations, and he'll talk to me about them and stuff like that. And like his understanding of LGBTQ rights it's not that it's not like I've kept it from him. It's not like I haven't talked to him about it, but the stuff he tells me or the stuff I hear him talking about with his friends is like, that stuff I never taught you. You are so much more compassionate than even I have tried to make you.
The language I used in high school.
Ugh. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I dropped F-bombs like a mother effer.
Yeah. And I have to imagine when I can't hear him, this stuff that comes out of his mouth.
I mean, just that, I played football over at Hart High School, and like that was a powerhouse at the time, and it was so much about like, domination.
Right.
It wasn't like playing the game well for fuck sportsmanship. But just dominating. I know that's a hard thing, but let me tangent to something else real quick. I love what you said about your mom, Jett. I got a question for both of you guys. This is origins for all of us. What was a moment both of you guys experienced that that your parents also experienced, and it made you think about that? You went, oh shit, my mom went through this as well.
Huh. Nothing in my youth, because my parents and I had very different growing up experiences. I'm a first generation American. My parents grew up in the Caribbean.
Really?
And so there aren't a lot of like obvious touchstones
I didn't know that.
That I think of when growing up. But parenting, I know that there are definitely like moments where I've been like, oh man, it would be so much easier if I could just yell /shake /spank this kid right now instead of quietly being like, hey buddy, we need to talk about your actions right there. Is that the choice that you want to? And in my head, I'm just like, I'm not going to do what you did. I totally see why you did what you did, because it was so much easier and so much more efficient. And so, so I can see like those parenting moments, but I don't have much of a connection with the idea of my parents as young people or as teenagers or as that thing. Like because my parents aren't particularly open. My mom, as the years have gone by, especially as my wife will be having these conversations with my mom, where my wife will be like, oh my God, your mom, this, that, this. Did you know that? And I'm like, no, I had no idea. Because my wife will be like, and then, and ask all the questions.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's little things like I have this. There's a lot of time I spend doing things like this podcast, for instance, or time with my wife, who's not the mother of my kids, or various events, or just like me time of playing video games myself, or so on. Yeah. And I constantly have this pressure in the back of my head of, oh, I need to make time to spend with my son. And I do spend time with him. But there's so much of the time that I realize he's also doing fine on his own.
Yeah.
And this is a thing, especially at this age. I mean, he doesn't have the in-person friends. He has the internet friends.
Sure.
And that's not necessarily good or bad. It's the reality of what we've got.
Yeah.
I mean, our neighborhood isn't well suited to him having a lot of in-person friends.
At the moment.
Also, just the fact that, it used to be we were limited to the people we had access to in our neighborhood and our school to either be friends or not have those friends. And now we've got the internet to make our own groups. And I had that as a kid. And I can remember, my mother was off in her own place a lot of the time on her computer doing her thing while I was on my computer doing my thing. And I was fine with that. Mm-hmm. And I really have to remember that and adjust
Yeah.
because I have this pressure in my head of, I haven't made enough time for him. And then I'll go check on him and talk to him. And he's like, he's doing his thing. He'd rather be doing his thing. He doesn't need me right now. And like, I don't have the sad reaction to that. Like, it's not the thing of, oh no, my son doesn't need me. It's more like
the cat's in the cradle and the silver spoon.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's more like, okay, cool. I'm not neglecting you. You're fine. You are building yourself right now. And I don't need to step in here and try to build you on your behalf.
Yeah,
I hope it's the right thing, but if
it is,
each time when I evaluate it, I feel all right.
The great thing is, if it's not the right thing, you've built the kind of relationship with your son where he will come and tell you it's not the right thing.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah. Yes,
I'll tell you guys this. Not dramatic pause, just cheers. I will say. Again, I said how well you guys fathers you guys were doing. And to elaborate more on that, I think the thing that you're doing especially is the amount of respect that you give both of your sons already as like living human sentient beings. I think is the most important thing. Like when I see Connor, it's so weird. I remember when I first met Connor, he would literally hide behind Jett and like clutch at his leg at this new person.
Right.
And then like the last time I saw him, he fucking gave me dap and said, "What's up, dude?" Which is great. No, the fact that he's that comfortable.
Yeah.
And he knows that, like, he doesn't see me that often, but to some degree, I'm Uncle Josh, and I'm like, I'm Uncle, like, your dad's friend, Josh, And the fact that he's comfortable and he's cool and he's able to do his own thing and not trip on it is amazing. Or like the clips, Steven, like the clips that you'll show me, like your kid is going to be the fucking coolest dude when he grows up. I'm so excited to see what happens about that. And I guess I think about it, and it's like the only time my dad and I had some good memories, and trust me, it's not a therapy session of like my dad. We're just talking about fatherhood at the moment. We would go shop for like records and stuff like that, and that would be fun. But like, I think the thing that I really held on to the most with my father would be, there'd be some times where I fucking needed a mental health day from school. And I would say I was quote unquote sick, and my dad was like, hey, he said, yo, if you need a day off, take a day off, and just left it at that. At the time, my dad was collecting unemployment, so he was at home all day, and obviously I wasn't sick. So like at like 11:30, he'd like rap on my door and he's like, yo man, let's go get some Tommies. And we fucking pile in the car. We'd go get some chili dogs and some fries. And like, he would just ask me like, yo, what's going on? How's life? At that point, like we were just like, that was the only time like it was like on that even level. Cause again, he grew up without a mother and a father. His grandparents raised him. So his grandparents were like World War II era, super boomers. So that was a way different lifestyle. So he had that ingrained of like, I am your father, you will respect me. You know what I mean? So that downshift of like, yo, dude, what's up? Is a huge,
big step. Yeah.
Downshift. So for like Jett and Steven, for you guys to have that open, I don't want to say freewheeling because I think that's a different connotation, but like this open, anything's on the table discussion to have with your sons.
Yeah, I don't know.
At 6 or 13, I'm sorry, 13 or 14, Jett.
13.
Yeah.
13, to have that is so fucking crucial. And the fact that you guys are doing that, God bless you guys. Truly.
Well, I think we've talked about it before, is that like the thing I always say to my kid is, listen, I'm trying to raise you to be the kind of person who I would want to hang out with when you're an adult, because when you're an adult, I want to be able to hang out with you. So it's so that's why we're kind to people. That's why we say thank you. That's why we're generous to people.
I try to talk to him about, hey, these are the kinds of things you're going to have to deal with when you have a boss, when you have a partner, You know, the kind of behavior that we're talking about right at this moment is the kind of behavior that if you continue this will make it hard for you to build relationships with people that you care about and that you want to care in response. These are the kinds of things I'm trying to help you solve so that you can have a good future with other people. Yeah. And then, outside of that, it's coming to him and telling him, listen, here are the ways I've screwed up. And that's big because I make a lot of I make a lot of mistakes with him. I absolutely do. There are those yelling moments that I can't hold back.
Sure.
Particularly because the ADHD sometimes makes that really hard. And he has a lot of that problem too. And we're able to talk about that after we have a blow up and discuss here's what happened. Here's how and why this went down for each of us. Here's how I personally handled this badly as your father and why it happened and how it got here, what I'm going to try to do to avoid that in the future. Here's some of the triggers that you and I went through with each other, some of the triggers that you produced. And again, and not blaming you, but here's some of the behavior you had that was really frustrating for me.
Sure.
Here's the stuff I did that I recognize why it frustrated you and why we ended up in this. And so we have these personal conversations about kind of the post-mortem on an argument, essentially, of here's where it went so wrong for each of us. And let's see how we can figure out how to make that better. It's the best I can do as someone who regularly does screw up as a parent. And that's not unusual. We all do. But I feel like that's the best I can do for him is try to acknowledge my screw-ups and work with him on them.
Well, I'll tell you this, and I'm glad we're going deep and we're talking about this. I'm glad to share some of my stuff because obviously I didn't grow up that way, but knowing what I went through and knowing what you're doing, it's such a good compare and contrast. And it just shows me more and more that, like, dude, you're so on the right track. And the reason I can just point that out is, with my dad, it was always just so much, do as I say, not as I do. I'm your father, and I'm right because I'm right. And the funny thing is, like, and it's. I think you guys will appreciate this as you get older and you understand humanity and mortality and all this stuff. That there's like apply the proper names to whoever, but there's like Scott Spence the father, and then there's Scott Spence the man. And like. Whoever Scott Spence the father was light years different than Scott Spence the man. Because like Scott Spence the man was like this incorrigible scoundrel who's your drinking buddy, who fucking had softball teams, who went on tournaments and had house parties, and he was like Frank the Tank from old school and was just like your best friend. And it's hard to justify Frank the Tank with do as I say, not as I do. So eventually, because my dad was such a scoundrel, let's just lay it out on the table. I've had enough shots. He went to prison for selling government equipment overseas. Like that's some
high level,
some fucked up shit.
Yeah, that's high level.
That's that's high level. And he got out because he said the right things that he had to say to get out. And
made those deals.
Yeah. And like, do what you got to do. We're not talking about that part specifically, but the fact that
next time
for sure. Cause there's a lot of good stories, guys. I know them, but the fact that, I would look up to my father in that way of like, he's 100% right no matter what. And then to have that prison thing.
Yeah.
It changes everything. So I wasn't like rebelling per se, but I was like, oh, hey, you're human.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were human.
God, that's so important. That's such an important moment. As much as that must have sucked in that and so much of that was bad, the moments you get to find out that the people, the authority figures who you looked up to as knowing their shit, don't know their shit, is that major defining moment. We talked about this a long time ago on episode 2, but that's huge.
But he couldn't let go of that. He couldn't let go that he was, I mean, there's that, psychological thing of like, like your father being like a version of God in the eyes of the son type thing, And the fact that you guys have deconstructed that, and the fact that you're able to break down the issue and talk about it and level from one person to another, even from the tender age of 6, and 13 is double the age of 6, but it's also a very tender age. You're going from youth into young manhood, and that's so, you know, again, I think I've had 7 shots at this point, so I'm you can ask me anything. I'm willing to share whatever story.
I can count them in your face. Yeah.
Thank you. But I will say this. I actually have on my BlackBerry from a million years ago, I recorded, because I wanted to prove that I was right. It was a very dumb thing. I recorded what ended up being the last conversation I ever had with my father, because I haven't seen him since this fight, and yelling back and forth, and he was saying shit about me and I was saying shit about him. And it got to the part where I started calling him by his first name instead of dad, you know, which is like the biggest insult you can do, you know, as a son, you know, just call him Scott instead of dad. And the fact that you can like in his voice, you can hear him just clawing to anything of, I mean, he even said like, I am your father and you will respect me. Right?
Yeah.
Like just hanging on to anything in this fight, you know, this last fight we had. Like I would have killed to have with the dialogue that you guys are having with your kids now. I think that is so important. I don't think it's important that you raise Murray or Connor or Kai to be like, I am your father. It's I'm a human being, and you're a human being, and we're going through all of this together. Let's relate. Yeah. And the fact that you guys are doing that, I love so much, and I have so much respect for you guys.
Yeah.
Well, as your dads,
yes,
we love you too, Josh.
Thank you.
And you know what? It is past your bedtime.
You can take the car too.
No,
on Friday you can take the car.
Yes,
it's fine.
So I wanted to ask you this.
Wait,
let's pivot back. If go ahead,
I think Jett was about to bring it in for a landing. You come on. Your dads are saying it's past your bedtime.
Going.
Here,
let's keep going.
It's past your bedtime,
it's
buddy.
Saturday.
You can do part 2. You know, well, when you wake up fresh and rested, we can do part 2 of this beautiful conversation.
What? We're having waffles for breakfast.
Can I ask you? Oh my God! Yes. Wait. I'm sorry. I'll go to bed. But can I ask you guys? I have 2 questions, but let me ask one question for both of you.
All right.
And then we'll do it. Unfortunately, go to bed. So all right. So high school for me, right? Because we hit high school a lot, I think, in this episode. So for me, it was a transitioning of what my dad said I needed to listen to what I really loved. So obviously, metalhead. My dad was like, you got to like Van Halen, Judas Priest, Metallica, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, and The Who. Which, by the way, I gave my dad so much credit for having the best taste in the world. Which, by the way, Scott Spence, best taste in the world. But also, everybody loved those bands. Transitioning from that to like the bands that really influenced me and stuff I still listen to today, which is Foo Fighters, Bob Mould, Nine Inch Nails, Pearl Jam, and Metallica. I will always love those bands from 13, from Connor's age to present day. What were those bands for each of you that fucking just changed you?
I gotta say, for me, I grew up all hip hop until I heard Radiohead's Creep.
Ooh.
Oh wow!
And that blew the doors open for me to this whole other world of rock and roll music. All my friends were like, I hung out with the alt rock theater kids, you know, and I was just like, nah, can't be bothered. And then something about that song was like this laser beam. And then in college, I had, I had a buddy of mine, Scott Danbaum, who introduced me to this band Centromatic. And then also that got me into Wilco. That opened a whole other set of doors, right? Like Radiohead was the
Yes!
opening of like, oh, there's this whole other wide world of music out there that is rock and roll music that's not just what, no offense, the metalheads at school are listening to. That's like a whole other thing that I hadn't given it an opportunity. And then to have it opened up even further when I was in college did a lot for me too. But then also Public Enemy. I mean, the idea that it was just like, oh, it's this hip hop music that I love, but it's so smart and it's saying something. And then that opened up to Boogie Down Productions and all the De La Soul and all the other stuff too. So I'd say it's probably,
you have a separate pot on that.
I'd probably say it's, Public Enemy, Radiohead, and Centromatic, because like Centromatic was a band that also became a band that like, it was the first band that I like followed, that I became passionate about, that I was like at all their shows, that I fell in love with in that way.
I'm going to share with you one of my greatest sins real quick. I feel bad about it now because I was a child and I was a childish, when you're a child, you do childish things. I saw John Cougar Mellencamp. Great show, by the way. His warm-up act was Wilco during the Yankee Hotel Foxtrot tour. Nobody got what they were doing, and the whole crowd at the Hollywood Bowl fucking booed Wilco. I was part of the booing crowd for Wilco. I had heard of them. I didn't. We were like, bring on Mellencamp. Booed Wilco. They Wilco ended their set after like half an hour, and like 3 years later I had bought this CD by Wilco because my friend recommended it, and I was like, these guys are fucking great. How do I remember that name? Went through my ticket concert book and went, oh, I did a bad thing. Jett, high school bands change your life.
I mean, I was homeschooled, so I didn't have that specific thing, and so it was harder to have the outside influence. I was big into alternative rock, so like Michael Hyman is in the same place. Bare Naked Ladies was on constant loop for me. Like that was my band. I'd say probably the first thing that like took me entirely out of the realm of music that my mother had introduced me to was a friend of mine who I had a massive crush on at the time, who I'd worked with on Freaks and Geeks. For my birthday, she gave me her favorite album, which was an album by Bush. And I had never heard Bush at that point, and is like, okay, but this is her favorite album, so I am going to listen to this album. And so I listened to the fuck out of it. And that would have been The Science of Things was the one. Yeah, I think that was the album she gave me. Yeah, The Science of Things.
Good album.
Yeah. And like I listened, the first time I listened to that album through, it was like, all right, this is pretty good. And then the second time is like, oh yeah, I recognize all these songs. I know these songs. These are familiar. And then like the third and fourth and fifth and sixth time through is like, this is my jam.
And it gets embedded onto you.
Yes, absolutely.
That's
and so, yeah,
the best thing.
And I think that's one of the biggest things. And so like you talk about that experience of like the high school thing. And like, I think that was probably a thing that was missing for me because I didn't have that influence of all of my friends telling me, wait, you got to listen to this. And so like, that was huge for me when I had a friend who actually did that for me. And that's where that album came from. And so, yeah, that was probably a big changing moment for me, but there's so much I listened to, especially because my mother was so into music because she worked in the industry and everything when she was young. And so I had a lot of that influence, but I'd say that was a seminal moment for me of a thing that kind of came from outside in and changed my perspective and gave me more. And then honestly, I will say a thing that's really cool about having teenage kids, if you're open-minded, is they introduce you to new music.
Yeah.
And I love the stuff that they bring to me because like I wouldn't have heard it otherwise. And a lot of my rotations in my playlist now, my auto-generated playlists, I include a lot of the things they've introduced because they're like, oh, you should listen to this. And I say, okay, to my Google.
Harvey was the DJ at our barbecue.
Play this song for me. And so it starts playing me more music by that artist. It's like, I'm into this. Like my daughter introduced me to Melanie Martinez and like, she's actually really good and has some cool stuff. And like her album is its own entire a novel story in itself. She has music videos for every single song, and it's telling the progression of all
That's
the school grades, and it's really cool. Like, there's all this great stuff happening now, and I love getting introduced to new things by other people, including my own kids.
That's awesome. Let me say this before we close out properly. Given this was an origins quote unquote episode, I couldn't think of two better people to do an origins episode with. I absolutely love both of you guys.
You know, everybody else is going to hear this, right?
I don't care. Dude, I've had so many
shots. Yes, we know.
Yes. I mean, I love everybody on Super Legit, obviously, but I mean, I've had so many conversations individually with both of you guys, not about improv, not about my a million different pitches on Ride the Lightning or Thunderstruck,
whatever those things might be.
Whatever project I have in mind. No, the fact that I can, like, you guys have come to me with stuff, the fact that I've come to you with stuff, the fact that we can just we did a whole episode about some heavy shit, and you guys let me get to I hopefully it's good.
Yeah, it's a good place.
Whether it's good or not, I got to fucking air a lot of my dirty laundry out, and the fact that you guys just yes and it and take it, and I mean, I love you guys, and I totally respect you guys, and it's truly an honor to be friends with both of you. I mean, you're the best, and that's not to say everybody else on Super Legit is awesome, because, you know, Michael Hyman, Chris Sanders, Michael Boozer, Ali Maher, Chris Compton. I love all of you guys. You guys know that. But
thank you,
Jett Kaufman, St. James. I love you guys too. You guys are like brothers to me.
Thank you. But we prefer if you call us dads. We appreciate being like brothers, but we prefer
Dad.
Yeah.
Okay, Dad. I'm sorry, Pops. I'm good with Pops. We're doing Pops.
Okay. So I think you have one more question for us. Our new son, who we love so much.
Well, no, go ahead, Jett. Start doing your thing.
All right. Well, thank you to my co-dad and my son for joining me on this episode. Thank you always to Matt Walker for your amazing intro and outro music that really just brings this whole thing together. Check out Matt's work in the show notes. Please subscribe to us on your platform of choice. Leave us a review on Apple iTunes, on Podchaser, on you name it, and tell your friends to listen to us on every episode, even this one.
I remembered my question.
Yeah. Well, what was it? What'd you get?
Should I start recording now?
Yeah, Josh, please start recording now.
Sorry, Dad.
I don't believe anything's on all my time. I kicked the door on its hinges just so I could move on. Oh,
Guys, I love getting deep. I don't know. And I got to say, I think it took a turn when you, Josh, broke in and were like, I got a real fucking question about this Aunt Jemima thing. And then it took, like, everything got, like, we went, like, the whole other level there. Yeah.
I was ready. Quick question.
Some serious stuff, too. Yeah.
I do pride myself on holding my liquor. I honestly do. I wasn't too sloppy, was I? I mean, I made a couple shots.
You're no Michael Hyman.
No. Yeah.